Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of 10 Cent Beer Night, the official sports show of FifthDimensionRadio.com, every Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on FifthDimensionRadio.com. And appreciate you guys tuning in today. I am Seth, and Bob had some other obligations, so you're just going to have me today. And we're filming here on Monday the 21st for Wednesday the 23rd. Hard to believe October's almost over. I'll tell you what, outside, I mean, the temperature-wise, kind of Octoberish, but outside it barely looks like fall. We still got a lot of green leaves out there. So it's hard to believe that Halloween's around the corner, and it still looks like mid-September. So that's kind of strange to me. But let me tell you this, with all the October sports events that had happened over the weekend in Cleveland, Ohio, let's just say we're very happy the Cavaliers start this week. So it's been rough. Two critical losses over the week, and we're going to start with the first one in baseball. The Cleveland Guardians have been eliminated in 5 games by the New York Yankees, and the season for Cleveland is over. Yankees will move on to the World Series. Giancarlo Stanton was the MVP of the ALCS after hitting 4 home runs or something, maybe 5 against Cleveland. Him, Judge, and Soto just clobbered Cleveland pitching. It was disgusting how many home runs there was. But here's what I will say. I know Cleveland's all bummed and everything, but this team, I mean this in a good way. This is the weirdest Cleveland playoff team in baseball Cleveland playoff team I have ever seen in my entire life. No ace pitching, okay? Inconsistent hitting. No real home run threat, and the ones that were really didn't show up. And they still found a way to go to the ALCS and win at least one game. That's impressive. You know, me and Bob's predictions at the beginning of the year for Cleveland were about 75 games. I think Bob had them at 82. He thought they were having a winning season. And they did have a winning season. They had over 90 wins. They weren't supposed to be this good this year, but they found a way to do it. I think Stephen Vogt has to be the unanimous coach of the American League Coach of the Year. Anybody that doesn't give him a first place vote is out of their mind. Because, and I'm not saying this to be biased or anything, it's just a rookie coach, no managing experience whatsoever, comes into a team that was supposed to be decent, not bad, but with all the injuries and the obstacles he went through, had a was a top 4 team in the major leagues. That's impressive, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you cannot argue with that. He's got to be AL Manager of the Year. He just absolutely has to be. All right. And, I mean, there were some questionable decisions in the playoffs, pulling starters out way too early for pitching and for bullpen, I should say. But again, it is what it is. I won't say that necessarily costing him the game. Maybe overdoing Emmanuel Clase did a little bit. I mean, Emmanuel Clase gave 8 runs in the postseason, 5 all regular season long. So that was strange. Best closer in the game, and he didn't have his best stuff. And I think part of it, too, I was talking with some friends, Clase, there's no denying his talent. But he is a fastball and cutter ball pitcher. It's just speed and minor movement on, the cutter. Whereas somebody like Cody Allen, former Cleveland Indians closer, who is now second, thanks to Clase, he's second in franchise saves. He had an incredible curveball and changeup, along with his fastball that threw hitters off all the time, and that's why in the postseason he was so dynamic and so tough to face. Where Clase, I mean, these Yankees power hitters were expecting speed, so they mentally prepared for the 100-mile-per-hour fastball. As long as they get the location right, they could drive the ball, and they did. So I think maybe he needs to just work on a slider or a slurve or something with a little more movement but still speed. Just something to add to his repertoire to just change it up and confuse hitters more. My opinion. But guy's an incredible closer. Guards had a great year. there's no denying. I know they were hoping for more. They got that far, but teams that are built like that do not go that far, and they found a way to do it. That's why I said, look, if they lose out in this, I know everybody's like, well, it's always next year. Da, da, da. Look, again, I cannot stress, you were not supposed to go this far. You were not built for that, and you found a way. I will say what hurt them was Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez bats disappearing throughout the postseason. That hurt them. But so they need a little more there. But this is what I think going into the offseason, just a quick offseason idea for the Guardians. Most of the team is there right now. I'm telling you, they're not going to go out and get another bat. They're just not. When they trade for Lane Thomas, that was the furthest they were going to do. I do think they need a more long-term center fielder in the, even if they move Quan to center field, that's fine, but they need a long-term answer there that they don't have right now. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to look at the roster and say, look, a lot of our guys are here. They just need more time to play and develop. So we're just going to keep moving forward with what we have. Fine. Okay. The thing I encourage them to do is grab 2 veteran starting pitchers. Get 2 new guys in there. I'm talking veteran. They don't have to be top-notch $10 to $12 million a year type pitching. If it's in the $8 million range, that's perfect. An example I will use is the Kansas City Royals last offseason. They added some talent, and some people laughed at their offseason. I said, no, this is one of the better offseasons in the game, okay? And people made fun of me, and then the Royals made the playoffs. And then those people that made fun of me were like, yeah, okay, you were right. You hit the nail on the head, Seth. They added, in the offseason, Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha. Okay, Lugo came from the Padres, and Wacha did too, actually. And these were 2 guys, not high strikeout guys. They could strike people out, but you weren't going to get 200 strikeouts a year from them. But they ate up innings, they limited mistakes, and they won games. Lugo actually ended up being an all-star. He was 9-2 at the all-star break. Okay, but these were 2 of the reasons the Kansas City Royals made the playoffs. Okay. And that's the kind of move they need to do. Because here's the... Bieber's going to need more time to heal. Tristan McKenzie's not panning out, all right? If you added 2 new guys, and I don't know, it could be anybody, but I'm talking that $6 to $9 million range a year. It doesn't even have to be a long-term contract. It could be 1 year, 2 years. But get 2 veteran free agent starting pitchers. You can have, when Bieber comes back, Bieber, those 2 vets, Bybee, and Boyd. That's a solid rotation there. And I'm not saying rule out bringing back Alex Cobb, but if they do, it's not a bad move, I think. But I'm saying look to see if he can get better, all right? I know there's still Gavin Williams, but I think there's still things he needs to work on in his development. But, I mean, he could be still part of that rotation, especially while Bieber's healing up, and they'll be fine. But I'm telling you, it could be a Trevor Bauer. I will throw that name back out. I don't care. The guy pitched extremely well in the Mexican League this year. His slider was 98 miles per hour. The movement in the command was disgusting. Bring him back. He would love to come back. I'm telling you, he would love to come back. Have him and Manfred kiss and make up and say, let's move on. Let this guy come back in the majors. His accusations against him were wrong. Let him move on with his life. Let's bring him back. If you do that, you're pretty much... And I'll say, the other thing I'll say, get a left-handed setup reliever to go along with Gladys and Clase. Because I know the bullpen was solid this year. They should be very proud of how the bullpen played. But I'd say get a late inning lefty in there. Somebody that can also work along with Gladys. If you sign those 3 players right there, you're probably okay. All right. As of yesterday, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the Mets in 6 games, and they'll go on the World Series. So it is going to be, for the 12th time in Major League history, the New York Yankees versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. I know the small market team fans are just like, why do we have to watch this? Well, for the record, this matchup, even though it's the most how should I word it? The matchup that's been played the most in Major League history 12 times, it has not happened since 1981 when Ronald Reagan was president. I wasn't even alive the last time these two teams met in the World Series. Yankees, we always talk about Yankees this every year, Yankees that. They haven't been in the World Series since 2009. So this is almost like whole new territory for them. Again, I know that sounds weird, but I mean, it's been 15 years. Even Cleveland's been there since. But so we have this matchup. It's Los Angeles and New York. Los Angeles will have home field advantage. It starts on Friday at 8 o'clock on Fox in Los Angeles. And so it's going to be a very interesting one. Both teams, a lot of power, a lot of good hitting, some injuries too. Freddie Freeman of the Dodgers is still healing from a serious ankle injury. He's played most of the playoffs to this point, but he did not play yesterday. Pitching-wise, Dodgers have the edge. Dodgers had a bullpen game yesterday and dominated. I mean, just think about it. That was where everybody that played was out of the bullpen. Their starting pitcher was one of their closer options. Okay, so if they have that, they're going to be good to go against the Yankees. Yankees have some good pitching, though, too. That cannot be ignored. They played very well there against Cleveland. Both teams are pretty good defensively, too. It's going to be good. I have Dodgers in 7. I do think it's going to go to Game 7. I really do. This is going to be one of the best World Series, I think, in recent memory. Could be even better than Cubs and Indians in 2016. It's going to be a good one. I think I speak for most Cleveland fans when I say, go Dodgers. You know, nobody wants to see the Yankees win another one. Yankees lead the series 8-3 in this matchup. So, again, it's going to be interesting. It really is. I will say this. Going to the World Series has saved both Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone their job. They'll be back next year. Those were the two guys where if they did not make the World Series, they were probably going to get fired. So, I mean, there you have it. But Guardians fans, keep your heads up. It is what it is there. Real quick, because we do have to talk Cavaliers and NBA basketball. So I am going to do some segments early, including our college football one right now. Top 25 teams this past weekend that lost, that got upsetted there. Number 7, Bama. Lost to number 11 Tennessee 24-17, so they have 2 losses there. Number 24 Michigan, the defending champions, was handed their 3rd loss over this weekend. Number 22 Illinois beat them 21-7. They're saying one more loss, and Michigan's got a tough schedule coming up. Michigan could be out of the bowl contention. That would be crazy to go from national champion to no bowl. Now, I think that's a little over-exaggerated because if you have at least 6 wins, you're bowl eligible, okay? And they are Michigan. So even though they're unranked right now, if they get at least 6 wins, I see them getting a bowl game there. That, and then number 1 Texas was upset over the weekend by number 5 Georgia, 30-15. They're both 6-1 now. That was it for ranked teams that lost. So that was an interesting weekend. A lot of good games, not too many upsets, but there was a couple critical ones. I mean, you have the national champion that's now about to be unranked. Number 7 Bama's going to drop significantly, and then now I think Georgia is going to be your new number 1 now. So, I mean, a lot did change up from those games, those 3 losses there. So good stuff all around. In the Big Ten this past week, number 2 Oregon beat Purdue last Friday 35-0. Number 16 Indiana beat Nebraska 56-7. UCLA upsets Rutgers 35-32. Wisconsin beat Northwestern 23-3. We mentioned Illinois beat Michigan. Maryland edges out USC 29-28. Mississippi State, Michigan State beats Iowa 32-20. I think that's an upset in my eyes there. Upcoming Big Ten games Friday on Fox, 11 p.m. Rutgers will be at USC. USC is favored by 14.5 points. This Saturday at noon, Nebraska will be at number 4 Ohio State at the Shoe. Ohio State is 25.5 point favorites. At noon on Big Ten Network, Washington will be at number 13 Indiana. Indiana is 6.5 point favorites. 3:30 p.m. on Big Ten Network, Northwestern will be at Iowa. Iowa is 13.5 point favorites. 3:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1, Maryland will be at Minnesota. and Minnesota is 4-point favorites. 3:30 p.m. on CBS. This is going to be a good one. Number 20 Illinois will be at number 1 Oregon. Oregon is 21.5-point favorites. I think it's going to be closer than that. Illinois is a little underrated this year. 7:30 p.m. on Big Ten Network. We have the Battle of Michigan. Michigan State will take on Michigan. The team up north is 5.5-point favorites. And then number 3 Penn State will be at Wisconsin. Penn State is 6.5-point favorites. Going into the MAC, our personal favorite conference on this show here. Over the past weekend, last Saturday, Central Michigan lost to Eastern Michigan 30-34. Eastern Michigan is now 5-2. Kent State lost to Bowling Green 27-6. Western Michigan beat Buffalo 48-41 in Buffalo. Ohio U loses to Miami of Ohio in Miami of Ohio 20-30. Toledo beats Northern Illinois at Northern Illinois 13-6. Toledo advances to 5-2. And then at Vanderbilt, Ball State put up a fight but could not come up with the win. Vanderbilt beats Ball State 24-14. Reminder: Vanderbilt beat Bama this year, so Ball State coming that close. That says a little. I think that says a little something towards them. Like, okay, this MAC team played a decent game here. Going into this week here for MAC football, all games on Saturday. Don't get used to that. That's going to change up soon. Week 9. Noon on CBS Sports Network. Buffalo will be at Ohio. Ohio is 6.5-point favorites. 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Central Michigan at Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is 12-point favorites. 3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Northern Illinois at Ball State. Northern Illinois is 12-point favorites here. 3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Eastern Michigan will be at Akron. So maybe I'll go to that game. We'll see. Eastern Michigan is 3-point favorites. Maybe Akron can edge them out. By the way, this is how bad it's been for the Zips this year. Their soccer team has more points officially than the football team does. So, and by the way, the soccer team is decent this year, and they're usually outstanding. They're just decent this year, so that says a lot about the football team needs to change some things up. 3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Bowling Green at Toledo. This is going to be a good one here. Toledo are 3-point favorites, and 3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Kent State at Western Michigan. Western Michigan is 17-point favorites there. So a lot of good games. There's always good games on college football. There really are. I think Ohio State's going to basically blow out Nebraska. I mean, I'm not too worried about that one. Bounce back after that loss to Oregon. So both Ohio State and Akron, our teams here at FifthDimensionRadio.com, had bye weeks over the weekend. So time to relax, adjust, heal from injuries, and get back to it. Could Akron beat Eastern Michigan? I think they should. I think this is a game they should be able to win. I think this is an opportunity to put a MAC win on the board before a couple weeks before you play Kent State, another team you should be able to beat. Moorhead has to get as many wins as he can. This is a game you have. I think this is I'm going to probably say that every week for Akron, but I think this is a realistic win for Akron. I think they got a couple MAC matchups coming up that are going to be tough, but this is one they can win. I get Eastern Michigan's 5-2. I give them all the credit in the world. Really, that's impressive on their part. They're a game away from being bowl eligible. Good for them. But Akron's still got a decent amount of talent despite the record, and they're at home. Anybody in the MAC can be anybody in the MAC at any time. It's time for Akron to get the W and turn their season for the better. Okay. Got to take a break. When we come back, we got to talk about the Browns. Deshaun Watson officially out for the rest of the season after his injury yesterday. We'll talk about that in the Naughty Fans when I return. And welcome back to this edition of 10-cent beer night here on FifthDimensionRadio.com. Hard to believe it's our second to last one in October. Our next one will be the day before Halloween. And I could sure use a scare because I'm tired of Cleveland sports giving me the tricks. I should say the treats. I would love a treat. Maybe the Cavaliers have a treat for me. We'll talk about them in a little bit here. But we do have to talk about the Browns. I know. By the way, as we're recording this, we are recording this show before we know the results of the Monday Night Football games, including Baltimore at Tampa Bay. Come on, Baker, beat the Ravens again. We love you. And then the Chargers versus the Cardinals. So we don't know the results of those games yet. We do know the results of the Browns and Bengals game, which, believe it or not, despite all the drama that happened, they only lost by 7. Okay, it wasn't a horrible game. Both teams made their mistakes, but we got to talk about the good and the bad. We'll start with the good. Nick Chubb returned. He scored a touchdown. Yay! We love you, Chubb. We're so very happy to see it back. He was limited in how much he played and how much he produced, but he was still tough. He had a couple good runs in there, and that will get better over time. But at least we got our star running back back, and I would love to see Jerome Ford get healthy and add to that. But yeah, they should get the run game back moving. Deshaun Watson was in the middle of a scoring drive, what ended up being a touchdown, Chubb's touchdown. And in a play that was designed as a QB run, he tore his Achilles, ruptured it. That is official. That came out this morning. He did rupture his Achilles. He's looking to have a similar surgery Aaron Rodgers did last year is the plan. But we got to talk about the awkward thing. Okay, the elephant in the room, something I was hoping not to talk about. Look, there was no secret. If you've listened to the show before, me and Bob were very frustrated with Deshaun. But we still wanted what was best for the team. We wanted him to improve. We wanted the team to find ways to run a good offense, score points, and win games, okay, at the end of the day. When he went down, I did not cheer. But I knew people at the stadium were going to. People. Okay, I knew people at the game. I actually was supposed to go to the game. Things fell through. I'm not mad I missed that game, by the way. But anyway, about half the stadium cheered. Okay, so about 50%, and there was a lot of Browns fans waving their arms saying, "Quiet down, don't do that," you know. But as a result, there is now a wedge between the players and the fans. Now, the players did recognize not all the fans did it, all right, but enough did it to really, really piss them off. You do not want to give free agents a reason not to sign with the Cleveland Browns. You are setting things up for us to go back to Hugh Jackson era type football, which was the worst we've ever seen. Do not do that. Look, I'm frustrated too, given the circumstances of why Deshaun was traded to Cleveland, the contract he was handed, and we weren't seeing the production. We saw a little bit last year, but then, he got banged up too. It's just not right. It's just poor character. And I'm not going to rule out, because he struggled bad, and there was talks about them benching him. It did happen. That came out mid-game yesterday. And I do think that with either a Jameis Winston or DTR properly used, it could get better. But it's just not right. You shouldn't be doing that. Guy's going to be out for the rest of the season. That's official. Next year, I do predict it. Call me crazy. I think he'll be back next year. I think they will draft a guy in the first round, a new quarterback, but I think Deshaun Watson will be under center for the Browns week 1 next year. I'm dead serious. I don't think they're going to pull the plug on him just yet. I think he wants to give one more shot of proving himself, because you got to understand too, this is it for him. If he doesn't do it next year with the Browns or somebody else, he is done. It's over. But whether you care or not is one thing, but that's the truth of the matter. But I wish Deshaun a speedy recovery. Okay. Just a lot happened there. DTR comes in the game, plays overall well. He did throw 2 interceptions. The first one was not his fault. He wanted to throw it to one guy, and Chris Tillman stepped in the way, tried to catch it, and it bounced off his hand and went into a Bengals linebacker's hands instead. If Tillman doesn't do that, it looks like he would have made the completed pass. So that one was not DTR's fault. It was his fault not throwing it long enough to hit a wide open Jerry Jeudy. I mean, DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, is not known for arm strength. But so he underthrew, and that was a pickoff. That was on him. And then, of course, he injured his shoulder tackling the guy that got the interception. Overall, he was moving the ball, and was looking okay. Okay, Jameis Winston comes in, starts going on a tear, and ends up getting a touchdown to edge them closer. Unfortunately, they did not get the onside kick, and that was the end of the game there. Jameis played very well, though. So this is my opinions of the game itself. Outside the injuries, defense wasn't terrible. They did give up the big play a little bit too much. Again, you keep hearing me say, you can't give up the big play. And Bengals D coordinator had the same facial expressions when they gave up the big play, too. It's just something you can't be doing. The penalties driving me crazy. And again, that I love Kevin Stefanski. I really do. I don't want to talk about firing him or trading. It's actually most likely they'll trade him. And for the record, yeah, if you trade a head coach, you get a first round pick. That's usually how it works. It's all on coaching. And you could tell he was frustrated. There was a play call where all 7 of the guys did not line up right, and they threw the flag. And Stefanski's face, he was irritated, absolutely irritated. But it's on him, and those penalties are killing drives. You cannot make a successful offensive drive when you're getting penalties all the time. It's got to stop. And that's, if you look at Stefanski's, I don't have numbers in front of me right now, but his history, he'll have years where they are in the bottom 3 in penalties, which is where you want to be. And then they'll have the next year they'll be up there and one of the tops in teams in penalties. It's driving everybody crazy. Just stop. Get it together. Get it figured out. Gel. Do what you got to do, but get it together because you're not going to win games with penalties. So what goes on with the Browns from here? But we recorded our show last week on Monday, so it was before the Amari Cooper trade. Yeah, he got traded to the Bills. Amari Cooper and a 6th-round pick went to Buffalo to a 3rd round and a 7th-round pick for Cleveland. The 3rd-round pick is for next draft. The 7th round is for 2026. Cooper did get a touchdown over the weekend with Buffalo. And now it's coming out that Cooper was dropping the ball a lot because he actually wanted out of Cleveland. I think it was a contract thing. We saw some drama over training camp. It's stupid stuff. You're still getting paid a lot this year. You're either for the team or you're not, in my opinion. Wish him well in Buffalo, but his era is over. There was talks about Zadarius Smith. The Lions, who lost Aiden Hutchinson for the rest of the season, are interested in Zadarius. I hope they don't do it. Keep him. Because this roster is still talented enough. I'm not saying playoffs. I think that's crazy, going 1-6 and talking playoffs. I do think this roster is talented enough, though, to walk out with at least 7 wins at the end of the season. I do. If they can get it together, it's not unrealistic. There's a lot of talent on this team, even with the backup quarterbacks. So what goes on from here? Well, there was also a rumor, because they went into Sunday's game, Jameis Winston dropped from the 2nd-tier quarterback to the 3rd and the inactive, but you can activate him if there's an injury to the other 2 quarterbacks, which there was, so he was eligible to play, which he did. Okay? So, is it DTR or is it Winston? Well, there's a rumor Winston's name was on the table for a trade, and I guess there was potential, I don't know where, there was potentially a trade offer on the table, which is why they moved him to 3rd. And it was also to give DTR some reps. So 2 things are going to happen this week, ladies. I'm calling it. I'm dead serious by this. Either Jameis Winston's going to be your starting quarterback Sunday against the Ravens, or Jameis Winston gets traded, and there's another trade which includes Joe Flacco coming back to Cleveland. And yes, I'm going there, and I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, Indianapolis wants Anthony Richardson to play. 1. 2, Flacco has played, and he's played well. 3, you're 1-6. How do you sell tickets? You bring back this last year's savior. And now you're okay probably for sales the rest of the year. All right? That's why it's not unrealistic if they were... And Flacco's not going to come expensive. It's going to be like a 6th-round pick or something. That's why I think realistically Joe Flacco could come back. Now, Winston could stay and be the starter, and that's fine. He is a veteran guy, but this is what I want to see. And the announcers were bringing this up yesterday, and I completely agree. Go back to Stefanski's roots of offense. 2 tight end sets, under center, run game, and play action. You have some of the best running backs in the game right now. You have still a decent O-line, I know they gave up a lot of sacks, but that's when you play a lot of shotgun and they know you're going to pass, they're going to pressure you more. It's just going to happen. Less shotgun, play it when you need it. Move the ball down the field, eat up some clock, score points, win games. Is it that? It's easier said than done, but it's not, Stefanski's done it several times before. He can do it here. Just go back to basics, get the ball moving, find a way to rest your defense, win ball games, okay? We don't need to do shotgun 7 straight plays, the run play, and then 7 more plays of shotgun. I don't know why they're doing this. Now, I will say Winston was reading the defense better than Watson was yesterday. And you know what? That was my biggest bugaboo with Watson, was was not reading the defense properly. And that really hurt him. Winston went on kind of a tear and was doing it. That one drive, he went on a tear, I should say. But figure it out. I don't care who's quarterback, figure it out. I like DTR, I really do. But he fits better in the old Stefanski system than he would the shotgun system. But get it figured out. This team, the team's healthier, despite Watson's injury. Just get it figured out. Like, seriously, just you can do it. Other games that this past week, because we only got so much time, that happened. Jacksonville won in New England 32-16. Seattle beat Atlanta in Atlanta 34-14. Tennessee beat Buffalo 34-10. Green Bay beat Houston 24-22. Indianapolis beat Miami and Indianapolis 16-10. Detroit beat Minnesota. I called that when me and Bob did 31-29. Field goal with 15 seconds left. Philly beats New York 28-3. Las Vegas beat the Rams 15-20. Carolina got smashed by Washington 40-7. Kansas City beat San Francisco 28-18. I got that one wrong. Pittsburgh beats up the Jets 37-15. Jets had a big trade over this past week, getting Devontae Adams, matching back with Aaron Rodgers since their Green Bay days. And then last Thursday, Denver beat New Orleans 33-10. The 1-6 teams now, including in Cleveland, are now New England and Carolina. That's your battle for the first overall pick. Oh, that hurts to say. That really hurts to say. Goodness gracious. Okay, week 8 predictions, because our last segment is going to be basketball. So, Thursday night, 8:15 p.m. on Amazon Network, Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams. Minnesota Vikings are 3-point favorites. I think they win by more than that. I'm taking the Vikings by about 10 points or so. 1 p.m. on CBS, Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Baltimore's 9.5-point favorites. I'm going to take Baltimore here, but believe it or not, if Winston comes out and starts and plays like he did that one drive, and if they trade for Flacco and he were to come in and play like he's been playing, there's not an unrealistic chance they beat Baltimore, but I'm going to go with the safe pick. I'm going to go with Baltimore wins, and I'll say Baltimore wins by 3. 1 p.m. on Fox, Tennessee Titans at Detroit Lions. Detroit's 11.5 points favorites. I'm going Detroit. I think they're going to smash them. I say give me Detroit by 24. I think it's going to be ugly. 1 p.m. on CBS, the Indianapolis Colts at the Houston Texans. Houston is 6.5-point favorites at Houston. I am also taking Houston. I think it will be about that, like a 7-point game. I like Houston in this one at home, especially when Anthony Richardson is still trying to get his game together. 1 p.m. on Fox, the Green Bay Packers at Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, by the way, no London game this week, ladies and gentlemen. Green Bay is 4.5-point favorites. I think Green Bay is going to win more than that. Give me Green Bay by 14. 1 p.m. on Fox, Arizona Cardinals at the Miami Dolphins. Miami is 3.5-point favorites. Miami might have Tua Tagovailoa back. If Tua comes back, I have them. They'll beat Arizona by like 13 points. But if Tua doesn't, I can see 3.5-point win. I am going Miami. 1 p.m. on CBS, New York Jets at New England Patriots. Jets are 7-point favorites. I'm going to say give me the Jets by 13. I do agree that the Jets are the better team here. 1 p.m. on Fox, Atlanta Falcons at Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers 2.5-point favorites. Buccaneers comeback win by Atlanta against this Buccaneers team a couple weeks ago on Thursday night. Baker played awesome and they still lost. I'm going to go Tampa Bay gets revenge. Baker's going to win. Give me Tampa Bay by 4 points, okay? 1 p.m. on CBS, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals 2.5-point favorites, okay? Bengals played overall well against the Browns, but there's some kinks they still need to work out. Give me the Eagles by 4 points. I'm going to take the Philly. I'm going to go against the odds here. 4:05 p.m. on Fox, the New Orleans Saints at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers 7.5-point favorites. I could agree with that. I think the Chargers could win at home against the Saints, especially with Carr still out. I'll say they win by 10. 4:05 p.m. on Fox, Buffalo Bills at the Seattle Seahawks. Bills 3-point favorites here. I agree with that. It's going to be a good game. This one's going to be one of the better games of the week. Give me Buffalo by 3 points. That sounds good to me. 4:25 p.m. on CBS. The Chicago Bears coming off a bye week. Oh, by the way, no bye week teams, by the way, this coming week. 4:25, yeah. On CBS, the Bears at the Redskins, I was going to say. Commanders. Chicago is 1-point favorites. I'm saying we're in Washington. I'm taking Washington. And I will say they're 2-point favorites. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a good game. 4:25 p.m. on CBS, the Carolina Panthers at the Denver Broncos. Broncos 7.5-point favorites. I think I like those odds. I'll say by 7, but I think Denver's going to win that one. They won a good game last Thursday night. 4:25 p.m. on CBS, Kansas City Chiefs come to Vegas to play the Raiders. Chiefs are 10-point favorites. I'll say give me the Chiefs by 17. I think they stay undefeated. 8:20 p.m. on NBC, waiting all day for a Sunday night, and this is going to be a good one. The Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers 5.5 points favorites. I'll say give me the Niners by 10. I think it's going to be a good game. I think Niners break loose near the end of the game and win. But I do think this is a good matchup here. One of the better ones along with Chicago and Washington, but give me the Niners there. 8:15 p.m. on Monday night. One Monday night game. We don't have to deal with two. The New York Giants versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's getting a lot of primetime games. Pittsburgh 6.5-point favorites. Give me Pittsburgh by 13. Russell Wilson played very well. They're overall playing well. I think they're a much better team than the Giants. As much as I don't like to say that, it's the truth. Give me Pittsburgh by 13 points against the Giants there. I got to take a break. When we come back, Cleveland Cavaliers tip off this week along with the rest of the NBA. I will give you season predictions and more. Stay tuned. And welcome back to our last segment here of 10 Cent Beer Night here on FifthDimensionRadio.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. And with all the drama concerning the Browns playing bad, Deshaun Watson getting injured and out for the season, Nick Chubb coming back too, a little bit more positive, and the Cleveland Guardians season ending to the hands of the New York Yankees, there is still something to look forward to in Cleveland sports. The Cleveland Cavaliers tip off their season along with the rest of the NBA this week, and we're very excited. The Cavaliers the past 2 seasons have been top 5 in the Eastern Conference. 2 years ago they were top 5 entire league as far as record was concerned. Fell just a little short of that last year, but they did coming off of last year, they did win their first playoff series since the LeBron James days. First playoff series win, I think, since 1997 or something like that. Since the 90s, without LeBron, I mean. So that was a big deal. And then, of course, they were eliminated in the conference semis by the Boston Celtics. Were able to beat the Boston Celtics once, which I think was 1 out of 4 of their all playoff losses. So that was a big deal. As a result, just a recap real quick of the Cavaliers offseason, which wasn't a ton, but that's not a bad thing at all. They did part ways with J.B. Bickerstaff at the end of the year, their head coach. They signed Kenny Atkinson as their new head coach. Atkinson's history of head coaching was in Brooklyn Nets, where he overall did very well. He actually resigned because of drama and just the way the team was being managed upstairs. It put him in a very rough position, and he just decided that it was best for him to just leave. But in his time, of being coach of the Nets. He did have success. He did have back-to-back seasons where he had about 40-plus wins. When he was brought into a rebuilding project, which included current Cleveland Cavaliers Jared Allen and Caris LeVert, And then the Nets spent money the following offseason and brought in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan, so that kind of changed things up. They were a win-now team then, and overall did very well with Atkinson there that first year. But then once they went to the playoffs, got eliminated. Once they traded for James Harden, that's when things went down south, and it wasn't the same team again, and there was a lot of drama, and he took off. Atkinson has been an assistant coach for Mike Budenholzer, for former Cavaliers coach Ty Lue, the championship coach, and he has spent the past few years under Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors. So he's been with a lot of great coaches. I think it's with Mike D'Antonio too for a minute. I don't have that in front of me, but I can look it up real quick just so I can give you proper information. But he's been with a bunch of great offensive minds throughout the years, which made him an attractive hire for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was very well liked by former Michigan State coach Tom Izzo, who's a good friend of Dan Gilbert, who encouraged him, out of all your nominees, this is a guy that you're going to want. Let's see. Yes, assistant of the New York Knicks from 8 to 12. So that was the D'Antonio era. So yeah, he was with them there. Then Atlanta Hawks with Mike Budenholzer. Then he was with the Clippers for the 2021 season. And then from 21 to 24, he was with the Warriors. So, and he is also the French national team's assistant coach there, who won the silver against the United States of America, of course. And so now he's with the Cleveland Cavaliers there. What does he bring to the table that's going to help Cleveland advance and improve as a team? One, he is very known for developing big men and point guards. Okay, that's his specialty. The reason why Jared Allen was such an attractive addition to the Cavaliers when they traded for him, and why he was an upcoming superstar before the Cavs traded for him, Atkinson had a hand in his development. Okay, and that he was part of the reason, and Jared Allen will tell you, of getting him to play up to par of a higher standard using his talent and being the best that he can be. Okay? And so it's big because Atkinson comes in and he's going to help Darius Garland and Evan Mobley reach their ceiling. And that is something that was despite the fact Mobley and Garland missed like 8 weeks of the season last year, that was one thing that was dinged against J.B. Bickerstaff, was both those players did not improve. Garland was an all-star a few years ago, and we haven't seen anything close since then. I mean, he's played well, but he hasn't played all-star well, okay? As opposed to where he was a couple years ago. It was just time for a new voice in the locker room, a new attitude, and adjustments being made. This is the part I like the best out of all of this, okay? Atkinson runs an offensive system similar to the Golden State Warriors. Move the ball, find the best shot. It doesn't matter who you are on the floor. You ever wonder, for anybody that pays attention, Steph Curry, one of the better point guards of all time, but also of our generation. He's got some good assist numbers, great scoring numbers, of course, but his assist numbers aren't like over the top all the time. The reason is the ball's not in his hands all the time. They move the ball, they spread the floor, they pass around, and they find the best shot possible, and they make that. So the assists can go from like Klay Thompson when he was with the Warriors. He's no longer there now. And then, or Draymond Green was getting triple doubles back in the day because he was getting a lot of assists because they were moving the ball, finding the best shot, and hitting those shots. Watch replays of Cavaliers Games 1 and 2 against the Magic, and Game 3 against the Celtics. Game 2 against the Celtics, the one they won against Boston. That is what they did, and it worked. Why they changed it up, I don't know. But when they moved the ball all around the floor, found wide open guys, and made shots, it was like a thing of beauty. I mean, and that's the kind of system it to work. So they asked, are you going to put in Donovan Mitchell's hands? He goes, no, we're going to put it in all the guys' hands. And wherever we're going to find the best shot, to go take it. But it's going to set everybody up to the best of their ability. I am excited to see this. I really am. This is the kind of offense I've been begging the Cavs to play since the rebuild stopped and they were ready to win now. Even right before they got Donovan Mitchell. I said, this is the kind of offense they need to play. and now it's here under Kenny Atkinson. So what other moves did they make in the offseason? Not a lot, but that's okay. It's all about, in the NBA, it's all about chemistry and improving the talent that you have. That's going to be the best ways to win games. Some of the best teams that we've ever seen, including the San Antonio Spurs, have done this. The Lakers of old with Kobe and Shaq have to, and I get it. There was a lot of star players at the time, but they also, a lot of them were homegrown at the time as well. Not Shaq necessarily, but the chemistry. Again, the Spurs won 5 championships and were competitive all the time because of the chemistry they had and what they built and improved throughout the years. There's another team that's slipping. The Warriors! As much as we don't like them, they won 4 championships. Why? Okay, they did add Kevin Durant to prevent LeBron from winning a couple more in Cleveland. But outside that, it was homegrown. It was great talent. It was guys that worked together on both sides of the floor and moved the ball well and hit shots. I mean, it's the thing. That's the thing about basketball is anybody can win at any time as long as they got the right players and they're on the same page. It's awesome. So There are additions for this past season. It wasn't much. It was just one draft pick, first round pick, Jalen Tyson out of California was added. They did sign Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley to long-term extensions. So the big 4 is signed through Cleveland until 2028. Awesome. So we're going to have some good basketball for the next few years. Then I will also mention Ty Jerome, who was signed last year. He is healthy and he's ready to take on a bigger position. He could be the backup point guard there. George Niang's lost a bunch of weight. Darius Garland bulked up. Tristan Thompson returned. Dean Wade's more healthy. And Isaac Okoro signed a 3-year extension. So all that put together there, it was a good offseason. The chemistry still will be very much there. It's going to be new coach, a better system that's going to be more fitting for these guys, but they're going to be more upbeat and they're excited. And Donovan Mitchell said in his training camp interviews, one of the reasons he re-signed with Cleveland is he believes they're a championship contender. Mind you, people, everybody's complaining about, the Deshaun Watson contract, and they're going on and on. Donovan Mitchell could have left. Mitchell could have demanded a trade. LeBron James left us twice. I love him. He left us twice. Jim Tomei, I also love him. He left us twice. For the same team, mind you. Manny Ramirez left us. Donovan Mitchell did not leave. And we cannot take that for granted. He's got to get the same respect and love Jose Ramirez, Myles Garrett, and Nick Chubb got for signing their extensions. Mind you, a couple of those guys could have signed for more elsewhere, but they didn't. Now with the NBA Larry Bird rule, Mitchell can't get more than he can in Cleveland. But besides that, at the end of the day, he stayed. You gotta love it. You just got to. So here's the downside going into the season. Max Strus sprained his ankle stepping on a coach's foot. That the more information came out this morning. He's out for 6 weeks. All right. Here's the good news. You got Caris LeVert. You got Dean Wade. You got Isaac Okoro. One of those guys is going to step in the small forward starting position and is going to bring it. So it's not somebody that's never been there before, and it's going to work out. Coach Atkinson is going to dig deep into his bench. He's going to have a 9-10 guy rotation, and he's not going to let he's going to give starters their quality amount of minutes, but he's not going to let them overdo it either. And I love that. You have a great bench. You need to get veterans like Tristan Thompson in to give Allen and Mobley rest. George Niang, Craig Porter Jr. is probably going to play some point guard. Ty Jerome's going to play a lot. I'm interested to see how much Amani Bates plays for. I know he's got a 2-way deal, but I think he's expected to be on the bench going into the season here, especially with Strus hurt. 2-way contracts, Luke Travers and JT Thor. Actually, no, Thor was cut. Excuse me. Luke Travers is on a 2-way contract there. Amani is too, but I'm telling you, he'll be part of the regular rotation. There's not much in the way of two-way contracts that are attractive. Like last year when you had Porter Jr. and Monty, and you're like, okay, if one of these guys comes up, they're going to work hard and they're going to look good. Those guys are pretty much already made their spot on the rotation, on the roster at least. Jalen Tyson, they're not going to rush out there, but if he earns a spot, that'll be Kenny Atkinson's decision. But at the end of the day, you got a team that knows each other, believes each other, and they're going to get better. That's the best part about all of it. Did they need anybody? No, they didn't. But they needed people to stay healthy and improve, because a lot of these guys, the prime years for an NBA star are years 7 through 10. That's their best statistics. You will get some from 11 to 14 years that are still being very productive, but their top, I'm talking about, of all category stats wise, is usually year 7 to 10. Allen and Mitchell are at year 8. The rest are not even at year 7 yet. So it's going to get better is what I'm telling you. So now I'm saying all this nice stuff about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay. So what's the outlook in the Eastern Conference? That's where things get tough. Okay, Eastern Conference is extremely underrated this year. You have the defending champ Boston Celtics, okay, in the mix. I'm going by division, in the Atlantic Division there. All right, Brooklyn Nets rebuilding year. Not expecting much. New York Knicks are going to be tough. They added Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns in trades over the offseason. They re-signed OG Anunoby. Knicks scare me. They did lose Isaiah Hartenstein, but again, they added Karl Anthony Towns. And Mitchell Robinson's going to be out for the first couple months of the season. Knicks are going to be good. You got to watch out for the Knicks. 76ers are also going to be good. They added Paul George over the offseason. He got hurt. He's going to be out for a little bit. But at the same time, they won. They have the exact same players with the exception of his name's slipping my mind. He went to the Pistons. Real quick, Tobias Harris. With the exception of Tobias Harris, it's the same team as last year. They're going to win games. Watch out for the 76ers. Raptors are rebuilding. So in the Atlantic Division, you have 3 teams that could easily be top 5 teams in the East. For the Central Division of the Cavaliers, the Bulls are going to get better. I still think they're rebuilding. They're not quite there yet. They made some interesting moves over the offseason, including getting Josh Giddey. They also got a couple. Lonzo Ball's coming back. They drafted a guy called Matas Buzelis, which is funny because I always imagined him as a guy that would fit the Bulls system perfectly, and he did get drafted there. So watch out for him. It won't be this year; he's a rookie. But if Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball can heal up, stay healthy, and play the game we know they could, along with Kobe White and Nikola Vucevic, they will be at least in the play-in tournament conversations, okay? Cavaliers, again, I'm telling you, a top 5 East threat there. Pistons, they'll be better. They're not going to be there. They got J.B. Bickerstaff as coach now. I did mention they got Tobias Harris, and they added Tim Hardaway Jr., and a couple other guys. I mean, just some pieces, and they did have a good draft pick in Ron Holland, who I'm sold on, and they have some good pieces, but they're going to be better, but they're just not going to be there yet. Along with the Cavaliers and who I mentioned in the Atlantic Division, the Pacers, watch out. Pacers are going to be so tough. It's stupid how good the Pacers are going to be this year. Of course, me and Bob mentioned they drafted Akron kid, University of Akron kid, Clevelander, Enrique Freeman over the offseason. But, they're just loaded with talent. Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner. They did add James Wiseman, former number 2 overall pick. Tyrese Halliburton. It's going to be a good team. The Bucks are going to be interesting. They're either going to do well or they're going to flop. They didn't really do much in the offseason. They do have Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak. But Bucks, they're going to be a winning team. I just don't know. I'm going to say a lower seed more into the conference, and they could be a play-in tournament team. The Southeast, it's going to get weird. The Hawks kind of rebuilding. There'll be a play-in tournament threat with Trae Young there. They also had the first overall pick in I got to pull up his name. There's Zachary Richacher out of France, but they're basically in a minor rebuild now. Hornets could be better if they could stay healthy. That's that's the tough part with LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Josh Green, who was good for the Mavericks, Trey Maine, that was good for the Clippers last year, Brandon Miller. They have good pieces there. Hornets could be a dark horse in the East, but they got to get together. Miami Heat, it's either going to be a hit or miss, a very talented team, but Jimmy Butler is getting past his prime years. Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero are great players, but Hero was not healthy last year. He's got to be healthy if they're going to do anything this year. Orlando Magic, I expect to win that division. Magic, again, were eliminated by the Cavs in the first round last year. Magic are a good team, and they're going to get better. Washington Wizards, they're going to be the worst team in the league this year. Real quick for the West, because I know I'm running out of time here, in the Southwest division. Nuggets, they'll be definitely good. Didn't need to do much in the offseason. They did add Russell Westbrook, but I don't think that's going to do much. Minnesota Timberwolves, they'll be a threat. They made some interesting moves, including parting ways with Karl Anthony Towns. I thought was interesting. They'll still be good, but I don't see them going as far as they did last year, which was the Western Conference Finals. They got eliminated. That's right. They got eliminated by the Mavericks. Never mind. They didn't make that. They almost made the Western Conference Final. No, wait, yeah, they did. They were eliminated by the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals. I'm going by my memory. Oklahoma City Thunder, watch out. Very, very good team. Added Isaiah Hartenstein and a couple draft picks over the offseason. And this is a team similar to the Cavs. The budding pieces are going to continue getting better. Watch out. Trailblazers, they're going to stink. They're rebuilding. They're going to be a bottom 3 team. Utah Jazz, they'll be decent, but they're rebuilding as well. In the Pacific Division, Warriors are going to they're a playoff threat, but they're not going to be as good as in years past. They lost a lot of guys. Klay Thompson went to the Mavericks. They just don't have the pieces they used to. Clippers, same thing. They're going to be in the mix. They're not going to be as good. They lost Paul George. They did add a couple young good pieces, but I mean, like, they'll be in the conversation. They also watched Russell Westbrook too. They'll be in the conversation with James Harden, and if Kawhi Leonard does play, he's hurt again. But I'm not expecting much from them. Lakers, they need more pieces. They only drafted 2 guys instead of Bronny James. They'll be in the playoff mix, but they're going to be a low seed. I don't see them doing as much this year, but yeah, they'll win 40 games. Suns, they'll be good, but I still think they're overrated. I just think that whole locker room is just not gelling well together, even with Mike Budenholzer as coach there. But I think they'll do better than last year. And Kings, I think Kings are solid as long as they keep developing their players and not trading them away like they've done years past with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis out there. I think they'll be okay. I can see the Kings winning that division. Southwest, real quick, Mavericks, I think they'll win the division. They just got better over the offseason. They'll be great. Rockets will be in the playoffs. Put it down. Rockets are going to the playoffs. I like that team a lot. They finally got a full team of good players, and things are just going to get better for them. Grizzlies, it's hit or miss. Ja Morant's coming back. Desmond Bane's coming back, all from injuries. I know they lost Jaren Jackson for at least the first week of the season. If they can stay healthy, they will be in the playoffs for sure. I like them a lot. Pelicans, it's a toss-up. They did add DeJounte Murray over the offseason. I think he fits well with what they have. But can Zion stay healthy? Oh my gosh. He'll go to All-Star games, and after that All-Star game, I got to sit down and play video games forever and get hurt and stay hurt, and it's a whole bad situation. But that's a team, they're either going to do really well or it's going to go south. There's no middle ground with the Pelicans, I don't think. But if they can play really well, they'll definitely be in the playoff mix for sure. Spurs, give them another year. I know people are jumping on the Wembanyama thing, and they did have a good draft. They brought in some other good players, including Chris Paul, but it's a rebuilding year. There's going to be games they're going to play very well. There's going to be games where you look and say, okay, there's still a lot of work to do. But all in all, what is my finals matchup prediction? I will tell you my too early prediction. I see the Cleveland Cavaliers going to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I have them losing to, I hate to say it, I'm sold on the Knicks and what they've got. If everybody stays healthy, I can see the Knicks taking the next step forward. I think the 76ers and the Celtics will be a threat, but I think that all the teams I mentioned in the East that are going to be a threat have improved more and will be more prepared for the Celtics, where I see Celtics getting upsetted by somebody. I'm not saying it's Cleveland. It could be New York. It could be Indiana. Somebody in the playoffs. But I see a scenario where the Knicks go on to the finals. But I have, okay, I do have the Knicks losing. I say on paper, I can see the Mavericks returning to the finals and this time winning. If it's not the Mavericks, I can see the Thunder. But I think it's going to be a random matchup. It's either going to be New York and Dallas, which would be sexy for the NBA TV, or it's going to be Oklahoma City and New York. But I think the winner's going to come out of the West this year. But I do think the East is a tougher conference. Prove me wrong. I'm excited for a good week of Cavaliers basketball. Real quick, because I know I'm way over time. I'm a couple minutes over. I want to give you the schedule for this week for the Cavs because it's only a couple games. Pacers on... No, excuse me, that's Thursday. Okay. Wednesday night, they're at Toronto. This is like the third or fourth year in a row they've started off in Toronto. Friday night, I got tickets. They're at home against the Pistons, so JB Bickerstaff's return is the first home game of the season. And then Saturday, they're at Washington. And then Monday, they're at the New York Knicks. So a lot of good Eastern matchups to start off the season. And then we'll talk next week when LeBron James and Bronny James come home to play the Cavs. But so Raptors, Pistons, Wizards for the weekend. So book it. They could easily go 3-0 when the weekend's over. That's not unrealistic at all. I got to sign out. Guys, thank you for listening. When we come back next week, we'll talk about what the Buckeyes and the Browns and the Cavs did and the Zips. But with all that being said, go Cavaliers. Excited for the new season. You guys take care.